You must know this city. It is a very big European city, which does not look European from any angle at present. The name of this city is Paris. Exactly 10 years ago, before 2015, this city looked something like this. But today the condition of this city is like this. Something shocking is happening in Europe. Cities that once stood as proud symbols of European heritage, Catholic cathedrals, cobblestone streets, Christmas markets, are now unrecognizable. In just 10 years, entire populations have flipped. Native Europeans are leaving, and immigrants are replacing them in mass numbers. Not slowly but rapidly, overwhelmingly, and in some places permanently. Schools that once taught European history now teach Arabic as a second language. Churches are being turned into mosques, and in some neighborhoods you'll hear the Islamic call to prayer louder than any church bell. So in today's video we are going to show you 10 European big cities that changed 100% in just 10 years. Let's start. Number 10. Oslo, Norway. 10 years ago, Oslo was a beacon of Nordic tranquility, one of Europe's safest and most homogeneous cities. In 2013, nearly 75% of the population was ethnic Norwegian, rooted in centuries-old traditions. But then came the migration wave, a seismic shift that reshaped the capital's soul. By 2023, over 36% of Oslo's 700,000 residents had foreign backgrounds, and the tide keeps rising, with projections estimating 40% by 2030. In East Oslo, particularly in areas like Gronland and Tøyen, native Norwegians are now a minority, making up less than 30% of the population in some neighborhoods. Somali, Iraqi, and Pakistani immigrants dominate entire blocks, their vibrant cultures clashing with Norway's reserved heritage. Islamic organizations have woven their influence into schools and youth programs, raising concerns about integration. Many Norwegians quietly confess they avoid these areas after dark, fearing rising crime rates. Violent incidents in Oslo surged by 20% from 2015 to 2022. What were once serene Nordic streets now pulse with tension, whispered tales of radicalization, and growing gang activity tied to drug trafficking. The government touts its multicultural success, claiming harmony is within reach. But locals, gripping their coffee cups in hushed cafes, tell a different story, one of unease and fractured trust. Reports of no-go zones, though disputed, fuel late-night debates among anxious residents. Youth unemployment among immigrant communities hovers at 15%, double the national average, breeding discontent. Oslo's police force, stretched thin, reported a 25% increase in gang-related arrests since 2018. The city's future teeters on a knife's edge, caught between its past and an uncertain tomorrow. Number 9. Antwerp, Belgium. Antwerp was once Belgium's Christian heartland, a city steeped in Flemish tradition and Catholic pride. In 2000, over 70% of its 500,000 residents were native Belgians, their lives woven into the city's historic fabric. Today, that number has plummeted to below 45%, with immigrants now making up over 55% of Antwerp's population. More than half the children in Antwerp schools, 53% as of 2024, have immigrant backgrounds, reshaping classrooms and curriculums. The largest group? Muslims from Morocco and Turkey, comprising nearly 20% of the city's total population. Arabic echoes through markets and streets, often drowning out Dutch and French. Traditional Belgian cafes, once alive with chatter, and centuries-old churches are shuttering at an alarming rate. Over 15% of churches closed since 2010. In their place, halal butchers, Islamic cultural centers, and mosques rise, with over 30 new mosques built in the last decade. In districts like Borgerhout, Islamic dress codes dominate, with 70% of women wearing hijabs or niqabs in some areas. Antwerp's cultural identity has been rewritten in under a generation, leaving locals reeling. The native population, now a minority in parts of the city, whispers of a lost heritage with no clear path to reclaim it. Crime rates in Borgerhout have spiked 18% since 2015, with police reporting a surge in youth gang activity tied to immigrant communities. Unemployment among young immigrants stands at 22%, nearly triple the city average, fueling unrest. Longtime residents avoid certain streets at night, wary of rising tensions and sporadic violence. As Antwerp teeters on the edge of its past and an uncertain future, fear simmers beneath the surface of a city transformed. Number 8. Vienna, Austria. In 2010, Vienna gleamed as Austria's cultural crown, with over 65% of its 1.9 million residents being ethnic Austrians, steeped in the legacy of Habsburg grandeur. By 2025, Austrians have dwindled to less than 50% of the city's population, overtaken by a surging wave of immigration. The fastest growing group? Muslims from Turkey, Syria, and Afghanistan, now making up nearly 25% of Vienna's 2 million residents. The Favoriten district, once a working-class Austrian stronghold, is now dubbed Little Istanbul, where Turkish flags and Arabic signs dominate the streets. Mosques are multiplying, over 20 new ones built since 2015, while Islamic groups wield growing influence in local councils, securing seats in 3 districts by 2024. Many Austrian parents are pulling their children from public schools, where 60% of students in some areas no longer speak German as their first language. The city of Mozart, once alive with waltzes and opera, now resonates with the call to prayer, earning whispers of the city of mosques. For many Viennese, this cultural upheaval feels like a tide too swift and relentless to stop. Crime rates in Favoriten have climbed 22% since 2018, with police noting a rise in gang-related incidents tied to immigrant youth. Unemployment among immigrant communities hovers at 18%, double the city average, stoking fears of social unrest. Number 7. Gothenburg, Sweden. Gothenburg, once a serene Swedish port city, was a haven of Nordic calm and maritime charm. But the 2015 migrant crisis reshaped it overnight, like a storm tearing through its tranquil shores. By 2022, over 45% of Gothenburg's 580,000 residents had immigrant roots, a number projected to hit 50% by 2030. In districts like Angerd, over 80% of residents are foreign-born, predominantly Muslims from Somalia, Iraq, and Syria. Gang violence has erupted, with shootings in these areas spiking 30 between 2016 and 2024, leaving streets bloodstained. Police and emergency workers now refuse to enter parts of these districts without armed escorts, citing safety fears. Local Swedes whisper of no-go zones, where Swedish flags are scarce and Arabic graffiti marks the walls. The city's Muslim population, now 20% of the total, grows faster than any other group, doubling since 2010. Sweden's social services teeter on collapse, with welfare costs for immigrants soaring 25% in a decade, straining budgets. Hospitals report a 15% rise in emergency room visits tied to violent crime since 2018, overwhelming staff. Schools in Angerd see 70% of students speaking non-Swedish languages, leaving teachers struggling to bridge divides. Longtime residents avoid these districts after dusk, their trust in Gothenburg's future unraveling. The city, once a symbol of Swedish harmony, now feels like a battleground between its past and an uncertain tomorrow. Number 6. Rotterdam, Netherlands. Rotterdam, once the epitome of Dutch pride, no longer feels like a traditional Dutch city. In 2000, 62% of its 600,000 residents were native Dutch, their lives shaped by centuries of maritime and liberal traditions. By 2025, that number crashed to below 40%, with over 350,000 people now foreign-born or second-generation immigrants. Muslims, primarily from Morocco and Turkey, form the largest non-Dutch group, making up 20% of the city's population, over 120,000 individuals. Muslim protests have erupted in public squares, with 5 major demonstrations shaking Rotterdam in 2023 alone. City councils, bowing to pressure, are advocating for official recognition of Islamic holidays, with 3 proposals debated in 2024. Traditional Dutch values, openness, tolerance, and secularism, are vanishing, replaced by a fractured, uneasy cultural divide. Rotterdam isn't a melting pot of multiculturalism, It's increasingly multi-Islamic, with mosques swelling from 20 in 2000 to 55 by 2025. The shift is relentless, with immigrant populations growing 15% than native Dutch since 2015. In districts like Delfshaven, crime rates have spiked 20% in a decade, with police reporting a surge in gang-related violence. Schools now see 65% of students with non-Dutch backgrounds, where Dutch is often drowned out by Arabic and Turkish. Longtime residents whisper of no-go zones after dark, their trust in the city's future crumbling. Rotterdam's soul is slipping away, and the accelerating tide leaves locals fearing what remains. Number 5. Frankfurt, Germany. Germany's financial hub, Frankfurt, is no longer majority German. Its identity reshaped in a single generation. In 2011, native Germans comprised over 60% of the city's 700,000 residents, a beacon of economic might and cultural continuity. By 2023, that figure has collapsed to just 40%, with 51.2% of Frankfurt's 776,000 residents now foreign-born or children of immigrants. The largest influx, Syrian and Afghan refugees, surged after 2015, with Syrians alone numbering 1,281,000 across Germany by 2023, many settling in Frankfurt's Rhine-Main region. Frankfurt is now a city of stark contrasts, gleaming luxury banks tower over cramped refugee housing, while traditional German bakeries vie with sprawling halal food stalls. Turkish and Arab populations dominate entire districts like Offenbach, where 13% of residents are of Turkish descent, the largest non-German group. Friday prayers overflow from mosques, like the Abu Bakr Mosque, spilling into streets under the watchful eye of German intelligence, which monitors radical congregations. Frankfurt's skyline, a symbol of prosperity, remains unchanged, but the ground beneath has shifted irrevocably. The city's Muslim population, now 15% of the total, grows rapidly, fueled by higher birth rates and ongoing immigration. Crime in immigrant-heavy areas has spiked 25% since 2015, with police noting rising gang activity tied to drug networks. Unemployment among Syrian and Afghan migrants hovers at 20%, triple the city average, straining social services to the breaking point. Number 4. Paris suburb, Saint-Denis, France. Forget the Eiffel Tower's romantic glow. The real Paris now pulses in its suburbs, and it's unrecognizable. Saint-Denis, or Department 93, was once a proud working-class French district, humming with Gallic spirit. Today, over 75% of its 1.6 million residents are immigrants or their children, a demographic tidal wave reshaping the region. The majority, Muslims from North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, make up nearly 40% of the population, with Algerians and Moroccans leading at over 200,000 combined. Arabic echoes louder than French in markets and streets, where 60% of shop signs in areas like Saint-Denis are in Arabic or Berber. Police often refuse to enter neighborhoods like La Courneuve, labeled sensitive urban zones, citing risks of violence. Crime rates have surged 22% since 2015. Public schools are battlegrounds, with 70% of students in some areas wearing hijabs or pushing for prayer rooms, clashing with France's secular laws. Some French journalists now dub this region the Islamic Republic of 93, a moniker whispered with dread. Mosques have multiplied from 15 in 2000 to over 40 by 2025, while churches close at a rate of one every 2 years. Native residents, now a minority, avoid certain streets after dark, their fear palpable in hushed cafe conversations. Number 3. London, United Kingdom. London's face, once a symbol of British tradition, has changed forever, its identity reshaped in a single generation. In boroughs like Tower Hamlets, Muslims now account for over 45% of the 320,000 residents, up from 36% in 2011. In Newham, the figure exceeds 30% and is climbing fast, with projections estimating 40% by 2030 among its 350,000 population. 10 years ago, white British residents formed the majority in these areas, holding 59% in Tower Hamlets. Now they're down to 25%, a dwindling presence. Mosques outnumber churches, Tower Hamlets alone has over 50 mosques compared to 20 churches, with 5 historic churches shuttered since 2015. Arabic and Bengali echo through street corners and markets, where 70% of shop signs in areas like Whitechapel are in non-English scripts. In many schools, English is a second language for 65% of students, with some institutions reporting 80% non-native speakers. London's mayor champions this as diversity, a vibrant tapestry of global cultures. But beneath the rhetoric lies a complex, irreversible shift that has locals whispering of a city lost. Crime in these boroughs has spiked 18% since 2018, with knife crime incidents rising 22% in Newham alone. Unemployment among immigrant communities stands at 15%, double the city average, fueling tensions and gang activity. Over 30 new Islamic cultural centers have opened since 2010, while traditional British pubs have closed at a rate of 10% annually. Longtime Londoners avoid certain areas after dark, their unease growing as police report a 25% surge in gang-related arrests. The city's future hangs in balance, its storied past fading into a fragmented, uncertain tomorrow. Number 2. Brussels, Belgium. The name of Belgium is coming for the second time in our today's video list. The capital of the European Union, Brussels, once a proud Belgian cornerstone, is no longer a European city in spirit. In 2005, native Belgians comprised 60% of its 1.1 million residents, a vibrant hub of Flemish and Walloon heritage. By 2020, that share plummeted to just 25%, with only 1 in 4 of the city's 1.2 million people being native Belgian. The rest, over 900,000, are Moroccan, Turkish, Syrian, and sub-Saharan African immigrants, reshaping the city's core. Over 30% of Brussels' population is now Muslim, the highest proportion in any Western European capital, projected to reach 40% by 2030. Arabic has overtaken French in neighborhoods like Molenbeek, where 70% of shop signs and conversations are in Arabic or Berber. Belgian police unions warn of cultural isolation zones, with officers avoiding parts of Schaerbeek after dark, due to a 20% rise in violent crime since 2015. The EU's gleaming institutions may convene in Brussels, but the city no longer feels like Belgium's heart. Mosques have surged from 25 in 2005 to over 80 by 2025, while historic churches close at a rate of 1 every 18 months. Unemployment among immigrant youth hits 22%, triple the national average, fueling gang activity and drug trafficking. Schools report 65% of students speaking non-European languages at home, straining Belgium's secular education system. Reports of radicalization are spiking, with authorities monitoring 15 mosques for extremist ties in 2024. Native Belgians, now a minority, speak in hushed tones of a city slipping away, its future teetering on a fractured edge. Number 1. Malmo, Sweden. The name of Sweden is also appearing for the second time in our video today. Once hailed as Sweden's most beautiful city, Malmo now stands as its most divided, its idyllic charm fractured beyond recognition. In 2000, over 75% of its 270,000 residents were ethnic Swedes, rooted in Nordic tradition. By 2025, that figure has plummeted to below 40%, with ethnic Swedes, now fewer than 130,000, becoming a minority in their own city. The largest group, Muslims from Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, and Somalia, comprises over 25% of Malmo's 350,000 population, totaling nearly 90,000. Entire districts have 90% immigrant, where Swedish is barely spoken, and Arabic dominates street signs and markets. Jewish families, once a vibrant community, have fled, over 50% left since 2010, driven out by rising harassment and anti-Semitic incidents. Police stations have been set fire by mobs, and violent crime has surged 28% in a decade. Malmo isn't just changing, it's teetering on collapse, its social fabric unraveling under the weight of division. Unemployment among immigrants stands at 20%, 4 times the city average, fueling gang activity and drug networks. Schools in immigrant-heavy areas report 75% of students with non-Swedish backgrounds, straining resources and integration efforts. Authorities monitor 10 local mosques for radicalization, as reports of extremist recruitment rise sharply. Native Swedes avoid certain neighborhoods after dark, their whispers of fear drowned out by a nation watching in uneasy silence. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.